I'm Eugene Kiley, Director of factcheck.org at the University of Pennsylvania's Annenberg Public Policy Center. Since 2013, the Cronkite Awards have partnered with the Annenberg Public Policy Center to present the Brooks Jackson Prize. This award is named for the veteran journalist who pioneered long-form fact-checking of false and misleading political statements, and who co-founded factcheck.org with Kathleen Hall Jamieson. A special jury selected the winner. The 2021 Brooks Jackson Prize goes to Dr. Sanjay Gupta, CNN's chief medical correspondent, for his correction of COVID-19 misinformation. The jury praised Dr. Gupta as an important voice throughout the pandemic and in many formats. He delivered on-air fact-checking segments, participated in town halls, and hosted a COVID-19 podcast.
You know, I spent some of the evening yesterday sort of doing the math, really going through these studies, trying to figure out what he was talking about. And some of it still did not make sense. So, I called him. He and I talked for a while, really going through these numbers. And shortly after that, he put out this tweet, these series of tweets, basically clarifying what he said. And I think this is important because I think what people heard at the press conference on Sunday was, look, if 100 people take this treatment, 35 people would survive that otherwise wouldn't have survived. That's what people were sort of left with, and that certainly sounds pretty impressive. But that's not really what the study showed at all.
My grandma had COVID-19. Her doctor said she is immune to coronavirus for 1 to 3 years. Is that true?
First of all, I hope your grandma's doing better. I'm sure that was pretty scary. Truth is, your grandma should have some protection against the virus now, but we don't know how long or how strong that protection is. So in the meantime, everyone still has to be careful. Misconception number 3. You can only catch COVID-19 if you've been in close contact with someone who actually has symptoms. You remember that choir in Washington State? Out of 61 members, there was only one symptomatic person. After 2.5 hours of singing, 87% of the participants became infected. It was early evidence that the virus could spread not just through touch or through respiratory droplets, but through something known as aerosols. Think of those as suspended viral particles lingering in the air for a while and also traveling much farther than 6 feet.
The jury said, Dr. Gupta has been a consistent and reliable messenger of accurate information. He delivers the facts clearly and states them with purpose and authority. Here is his acceptance speech.
First of all, just thank you so much. I must say that when you're reporting from a windowless basement for more than a year, it can feel like you're shouting into a void. But this honor, I think, is a reminder to all of us how incredibly important the work of journalists really is. You know, I came to journalism later than most. But even before I joined their ranks, I always had such great admiration for the role journalists play in our society. And that admiration has only grown for me. I mean, there's no question this has been a story unlike anything I've ever covered. And facts and data and evidence, they matter more than ever. Many people sometimes think that science is like math, that 2 + 2 is always going to equal 4. Truth is, science is more like art in some ways. It evolves and it changes, and we need to continuously learn more and more. So when it came to a novel virus, it presented a unique challenge where we needed to quickly follow the fast-moving data, and that required just constant homework. Every day was different. Nothing stayed the same. And that's a challenge sometimes when communicating to the public. We needed to tell viewers what we knew, but equally important, we needed to tell people what we couldn't say for sure, and we needed to do it honestly and with humility. Everyone from kids to adults, they had questions that they wanted answered. Maybe there were technical questions about how the virus actually infects our bodies, to just simple things like, is it safe to go to the grocery store? Can I hug my grandparents? While people may now know efficacy rate of the vaccine that they received, they may know what a monoclonal antibody treatment is, the fact is that people wanted to know how they could live their lives, how they could stay safe, and how they could move forward together. So I'm proud of the public service I think my team and I have been able to provide, and we are all so incredibly honored to receive this award.
My colleague, Kathleen Hall Jamieson, director of the Annenberg Public Policy Center, had an opportunity to speak with Dr. Gupta about his work. You can see their full conversation at cronkiteawards.org. Here's a clip.
That's the precautionary principle. Should we just say at that point, hey, this could be happening, let's wear masks until we get control of this thing, and then sort of figure it out? Yeah, we would be in a much different place by now. If I was the one telling people to wear masks in late January, early February, maybe nobody would have listened to me, but I think that would have been the right call.
And what about aerosolized transmission? Did we get the warnings out quickly enough about aerosolized transmission, or could a scientist reasonably, exercising the precautionary principle, have said, let's assume aerosolized transmission, even if we're not completely sure, let's assume it and act as if that's happening as well?
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. I mean, it does become a question of what is the level of evidence you need to say that you're going to make a recommendation. And this will always be the question. And you'll have to recognize that we're never going to have 100% certainty on these things. When we started to see evidence of people who were becoming infected, who really did not live with somebody who was infected, seemed to have no contact, direct contact with people who were infected, that was probably a very good clue that transmission was happening in different ways. It took a lot of people, beating the drum on this for some time, showing their models over and over again to basically say, hey, look, we keep talking about respiratory droplets, very important, 6 feet away, that's enough to prevent transfer through respiratory droplets. But the idea that it could spread through an entire house or an entire restaurant or whatever it may be, it just took a long time to get there, to prove that. What do you do in that interim period before you can prove something? We deal with this in medicine all the time. We don't always have to wait to prove that opening someone's carotid artery in someone who's had a stroke would probably restore blood flow to the brain. Do we need a trial of 100,000 people to say that? Or can we realistically sort of predict that would be beneficial to restore blood flow? It's that level of evidence that you have to sort of think about. What is required to make recommendations, and what are we asking people to do? If you're asking people to wear a mask, it's not like you're necessarily asking them to turn their lives upside down. You're not asking them to stop doing things. Just wear a mask when you're out in public.
Dr. Gupta, thank you for asking such important questions and answering them so well. And thank you for all that you've done to incorporate a new model of fact-checking into journalism by combining the preemptive knowledge of a doctor and a medical expert with an understanding of what the deceptions are, how people are susceptible to them, and how you can explain to them in English that everybody can understand why it is that science knows what it knows when it knows it. Congratulations on receiving this award. We're so very proud to have you in our list of honorees across time, winning the Brooks Jackson Fact-Checking Award.
Oh, well, I'm really honored. I will really treasure this. I appreciate this conversation. And, this is, hopefully this will inspire people to keep doing the good work.